Hello and welcome to the session on Elements of Classical Mechanics, Part 1. The motion of a particle or a system of particles is restricted in one way or another. The motion of air molecules in a closed vessel is restricted by the walls of the vessel, but there is no such restriction for the air molecules in the atmosphere. The motion of the bob of a simple pendulum is restricted by the length of the string, but in the case of a football during a match has no such restrictions. Any restriction on the motion of a body is called constraint. Constraints. Constraints may be defined as the geometrical restrictions or limitations on the motion of a particle or a system. The forces responsible for the constraint are called forces of constraints, and the motion is called constraint motion. Each condition of constraint reduces the number of degrees of freedom by 1. Examples. First one, a train running along the rails is a constraint motion in one dimension. Second one, when a bead is made to slide on a wire, constraints require that the position of the bead lies on the wire. Third one, the distance between two particles of a rigid body is a constraint. This rigidity is a constraint on the motion of particles constituting the rigid body. Characteristics of constraint forces. In the case of motion of beads in an abacus, they are restricted or constrained by the supporting wires. When the beads are in motion, they are in contact with the wires. Thus, the constraining surfaces offer constraint forces in the case of physically constrained motions. The properties of the constraint force are that they are elastic in nature and appear at the contact surfaces. The constraint force does not allow the body to deviate from the described path. The constraint forces always keep the constraint relations satisfied. The constraint forces act in a direction perpendicular to the surface of constraints when the body moves parallel to the surface. Then the work done by the constraint forces is 0. These constraints are called ideal constraints. Classification of constraints. First one, holonomic and non-holonomic constraints. If the conditions of constraints are expressible in the form of some linear equations of position coordinates and time, that is f of r1, r2, etc., rn t equal to 0, the constraints are called holonomic constraints. Thus, holonomic constraints can be expressed as an algebraic equation involving coordinates. In holonomic constraints, each coordinate can vary independently of the other. Examples for holonomic constraints. A rigid body. In a rigid body, the distance between any two particles remains constant due to the internal forces acting between individual particles constituting the body. The equation of constraint in this case, modulus of vector Ri minus vector Rj square, which is equal to Dij, is a constraint for all I, j and is the constant distance between the particle I and j. B. The simple pendulum. The motion of the bob is restricted by the length of the thread. The force of constraint in this case is the tension in the string T. The effect of the constraint force in this case is to maintain the distance of the center of the bob from the point O at a constant value. The equation of the constraints is x square plus y square is equal to a constant, where it is assumed that the pendulum executes simple harmonic motion in xy plane. If the conditions of constraints cannot be expressed as relations among the coordinates, then they are called non-holonomic constraints. The scalar equations which describe the constraint are called constraint equations. Examples. Gas enclosed in a box. In the case of a gas enclosed a box, the walls of the box constitute a non-holonomic constraint. In this case, the constraint is expressed by inequalities. For a cubic box with origin at one corner, the equation of constraint is 0 less than or equal to x less than or equal to a, 0 less than or equal to y less than or equal to a, 0 less than or equal to z less than or equal to a, where a is the side of the cube. Non-holonomic constraints are expressed as constraints on the velocities. The relations obtained could not be integrated. Other examples for non-holonomic constraints are: 1. A disk rolling on a plane without slipping, 2. A pendulum bob on a flexible string, and 3. A particle kept on the surface of a solid sphere. In this case, the particle is subjected to the constraint that it can move only on the surface or in the region outside the surface of the sphere. The constraint equation is r square minus a square is greater than or equal to 0, where a is the radius of the sphere. 2. Time dependent and time independent constraint. Holonomic constraints are again subdivided into two types, first on time dependent and second on time independent. If the constraint relations depend explicitly on time is called renomic, and if the relations do not explicitly on time, it is called scaleronomic. The constraints evolved in the case of the rigid body and the simple pendulum are time independent constraints. A pendulum filled in a lift with its point of support moving so that the equation of constraint explicitly involves time is an example of a time dependent constraint. 3. Conservative and dissipative constraints. If the total mechanical energy of the system is conserved during the constraint motion, it is called conservative. In this case, the constraint forces do not do any work. If the constraint forces do work and total mechanical energy is not conserved, the constraint is called dissipative constraint. 4. Bilateral and unilateral constraints. If the constraint relations are expressed not in the form of inequalities but in the form of equations, then they are called bilateral constraints. If the constraint relations are expressed in the form of inequalities, they are called unilateral constraints. Generalized coordinates. Generalized coordinates are general in the sense that they need not be lengths or angle in particular. The number of generalized coordinates is just equal to the number of degrees of freedom of the system. These coordinates are independent one another. These coordinates are associated with the system as a whole and not pertain separately to any particle of the system. The degree of freedom of any dynamical system is defined as the total number of independent coordinates necessary to specify the position or configuration of the system completely. If a particle moves in space, to specify its position we need 3 coordinates and hence it has 3 degrees of freedom. If a system has n free particles, the number of degrees of freedom will be 3n. If we use rectangular Cartesian coordinates, we will have a number of superfluous or redundant coordinates provided the constraints are holonomic. These superfluous coordinates make the problem complicated. This difficulty is reduced by introducing generalized coordinates. The set of independent coordinates required to represent the motion of a particle or a system of particles is called generalized coordinates. Consider a system of n particles. To represent their motion, 3n coordinates are required. If there exists constraints expressible in k equations of the form f of r1, r2, etc. rn t equal to 0, there will be only 3n minus k degrees of freedom. The elimination of the k dependent coordinates can be done by the introduction of 3n minus k new variables such as q1, q2, etc. q3n minus k, such that vector r1 is equal to r1 of q1, q2, etc. q3n minus k t, etc. Vector rn is equal to rn of q1, q2, etc. q3n minus k t. These equations are called transformation equations used to transform from the set of ri variables to qi set of variables. These new coordinates q1, q2, etc. q3n minus k are called generalized coordinates. These are the minimum number of coordinates needed to specify the motion of a system. Unlike the Cartesian coordinates, they cannot be grouped into convenient groups of 3. The generalized coordinates are not restricted by any constraints. The generalized coordinates need not necessarily have the dimension of length. They can be angles, force, velocity, acceleration, latitude, longitude, etc. That is, they can be of any dimensions. Principle of virtual work. A virtual displacement delta r means an imaginary displacement, virtual in the sense that there is no passage of time during the displacement. A virtual displacement of a system means a change in the configuration of the system as a result of any arbitrary infinitesimal change of the coordinates consistent with the forces and constraints imposed on the system at the given instant. Suppose the system is in equilibrium, that is, the total force on each particle vanishes or vector Fi is equal to 0. Then the virtual work done vector Fi dot vector delta Ri is equal to 0. Similarly, the sum of these vanishing products for all particles must be 0. That is, summation vector Fi dot vector delta Ri is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 1. But vector Fi can be written as vector Fi is equal to capital Fi of A plus small fi, where capital Fi of A is the applied force and small fi is the force of constraint. Equation 1 becomes summation Fi of A dot delta Ri plus summation small fi dot delta Ri is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 2. Consider a system in which the virtual work done by the forces of constraints is 0. Then second term on left hand side of equation 2 is 0. Equation 2 becomes summation Fi of A dot delta Ri is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 3. This is called the principle of virtual work. The principle of virtual work states that the work done is 0 in the case of an arbitrary virtual displacement of a system from its equilibrium position. D'Alembert's principle. According to Newton's second law, the external force acting on the ith particle is given by vector Fi is equal to d by dt of vector Pi, which is equal to vector Pi dot, where vector Pi dot is the linear momentum of the ith particle. Vector Fi minus vector Pi dot is equal to 0, where vector Pi is the momentum and vector Pi dot is the rate of change of momentum. Hence, the principle of virtual work becomes summation vector Fi minus vector Pi dot into delta Ri is equal to 0, but vector Fi is equal to Fi of A plus small fi. Restricting ourselves to system where the virtual work done by the forces of constraint is 0, that is summation small fi dot delta Ri is equal to 0, we get summation capital Fi dash at A minus Pi dot into delta Ri is equal to 0. This is called D'Alembert's principle. But the forces of constraints do not appear in the equation. So, the principle can be written as summation vector Fi minus vector Pi dot into delta Ri is equal to 0. Lagrange's equations. Lagrange's equations are a set of second order partial differential equations which are of much use in the solution of mechanical problems. The equations are given by d by dt of dou L divided by dou Qj dot minus dou L divided by dou Qj is equal to 0, where L is equal to t minus v is the Lagrangian function of kinetic potential, Qj is the generalized position coordinate and Qj dot is the generalized velocity. For each degree of freedom, there will be one such equation. For a system having n particles without any constraints, there will be 3n such second order ordinary linear coupled differential equations. Derivation. Consider a system consisting of n particles having k holonomic constraints. To define the position of the system at any time, the minimum number of independent quantities Qj required is 3n minus k and are called the generalized position coordinates. the position vector of the ith particle vector Ri is equal to Rj of Qj comma t, where I is equal to 1, 2, etc. n and j is equal to 1, 2, etc. small n. The velocity of the ith particle vector Ri dot is equal to dou Ri divided by dou Qj into Qj dot plus dou Ri divided by dou t. Let it be equation number 1. Taking the generalized coordinate Qj and generalized velocity Qj dot as independent variables, from equation 1 we get dou Ri dot divided by dou Qj dot is equal to dou Ri divided by dou Qj. Let it be equation number 2. Dou Ri divided by dou Qj is equal to dou by dou Qj of Ri dot, where Ri dot is equal to dRi divided by dt. Let it be equation number 3. The kinetic energy of ith particle is 1 by 2 into mi into vector Ri dot vector Ri dot, which is equal to 1 by 2 into mi into Ri dot square. Dou t by dou Qj is equal to 1 by 2 into 2 into mi Ri dot into dou Ri dot divided by dou Qj, which is equal to mi into Ri dot into dou Ri dot divided by dou Qj. Let it be equation number 4. Dou t divided by dou Qj dot is equal to 1 by 2 into 2 into mi into Ri dot into dou Ri dot divided by dou Qj, which is equal to mi into Ri dot into dou Ri dot divided by dou Qj. Let it be equation number 5. Using equation 2, D'Alembert's principle is vector Fi minus vector Pi dot delta Ri is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 6. Vector F dot delta Ri is equal to Pi dot delta R. Let it be equation number 7. But vector delta Ri is equal to dou Rj divided by dou Qj into delta Qj. Let it be equation number 8. The principle of virtual work done is vector Fi dot delta Ri is equal to 0. Substituting for delta Ri in equation 7, Fi dot dou Ri divided by dou Qj into delta Qj is equal to Qj into delta Qj, which is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 9, where Qj is equal to vector Fi dot dou Ri divided by dou Qj are known as the generalized forces. Hence, vector F dot delta Ri is equal to Qj into delta Qj. Let it be equation number 10. Qj need not have the dimension of force, but Qj into delta Qj will have the dimension of work. But vector Fi is equal to mi into vector Ri double dot. Using equations 7 and 8, vector Pi dot delta Ri is equal to mi into vector Ri double dot dou Ri divided by dou Qj into delta Qj. Let it be equation number 11, which is equal to d by dt of mi into vector Ri dot into dou Ri divided by dou Qj minus mi into vector Ri dot into d by dt of dou Ri divided by dou Qj into delta Qj. Let it be equation number 12. Vector Pi dot vector delta Ri is equal to d by dt of mi into vector Ri dot into dou Ri divided by dou Qj minus mi into vector Ri dot into dou Ri dot divided by dou Qj into delta Qj. Let it be equation number 13. Using equations 2, 4 and 5, vector Pi dot into delta Ri is equal to d by dt of dou t by dou Qj dot minus dou t by dou Qj into delta Qj. But vector Pi dot into delta Vi is equal to vector Fi dot delta R, which is equal to Qj into delta Qj. Hence, d by dt of dou t by dou Qj dot minus dou t by dou Qj minus Qj into delta Qj is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 14. Since the mechanical system is holonomic and all Qj's are independent, equation 14 must be valid for each value of j. Also, delta Qj cannot be 0. So, equation 14 can be written as d by dt of dou t by dou Qj dot minus dou t by dou Qj is equal to Qj. Let it be equation number 15, where j is equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. These equations are called Lagrange's equations of first kind. These equations are called Lagrange's equations of first kind. If the system is conservative, then the forces vector Fi can be derived from a potential V, which is a function of coordinates only. Then Qj is equal to minus dou V by dou Qj. D by dt of dou t by dou Qj dot minus dou t by dou Qj is equal to minus dou V by dou Qj. D by dt of dou t by dou Qj dot minus dou by dou Qj of t minus V is equal to 0. The potential V does not depend on generalized velocities Qj dot. Hence, we can include the term V in the partial derivative term with respect to Qj dot. Let L is equal to t minus V, then d by dt of dou L divided by dou Qj minus dou L divided by dou Qj is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 16. L is called the Lagrangian function or simply the Lagrangian of the system, and these equations are called Lagrangian equations of motion. Suppose the potential V is a function of coordinates and velocities, then V is equal to V of q comma q dot. Qj is equal to d by dt of dou V by dou Qj dot minus dou V by dou Qj. Substituting this in equation 15, we will get the same Lagrangian equations as given in equation 16. Simple applications of Lagrange's equations. 1. Newton's equations of motion. Lagrangian equations in generalized coordinates is d by dt of dou t by dou Qj dot minus dou t by dou Qj is equal to Qj. Let the coordinates of the particle in Cartesian system be x, y, z, and x dot, y dot and z dot be the velocity components. If m is its mass, then the kinetic energy is T is equal to 1 by 2 into m into x dot square plus y dot square plus z dot square. T is independent of the position coordinates. So, dou t by dou x is equal to dou t by dou y is equal to dou t by dou z is equal to 0. Dou t by dou x dot is equal to 1 by 2 into m into 2 into x dot, which is equal to m into x dot. Dou t by dou y dot is equal to m into y dot, and dou t by dou z dot is equal to m into z dot. Let Fx, Fy and Fz be the generalized forces along x, y and z directions. D by dt of dou t by dou x dot minus dou t by dou x is equal to Fx. D by dt of mx dot minus 0 is equal to Fx, or Fx is equal to m into x double dot. D by dt of dou t by dou y dot minus dou t by dou x is equal to Fy. D by dt of my dot minus 0 is equal to Fy, or Fy is equal to m into y double dot. D by dt of dou t by dou z dot minus dou t by dou z is equal to Fz. D by dt of m into z dot minus 0 is equal to Fz, or Fz is equal to m into z double dot. Hence, vector F is equal to m into vector r double dot, which is equal to m into vector A. This is Newton's second law. 2. LC circuit. A charged capacitor C and inductance L are connected in series as shown in figure below. Form an LC circuit. Let the charge on the capacitor be Q. The generalized coordinates is charge Q. The energy stored in the capacitor is the electrical potential energy Q square divided by 2C, where C is the capacitance. If L is the inductance, then the energy stored in the inductor is 1 by 2 into L into I square and is analogous to kinetic energy T. That is, T is equal to 1 by 2 into L into Q square and V is equal to Q square divided by 2C, where Q dot is equal to dQ divided by dt, which is equal to I, the current. The Lagrangian of the LC circuit is L is equal to T minus V, which is equal to 1 by 2 into L into Q dot square minus Q square divided by 2C. D by dt of dou L divided by dou Q dot minus dou L divided by dou Q is equal to 0. Dou L divided by dou Q dot is equal to L into Q dot, and dou L divided by dou Q is equal to minus Q by C. D by dt of L into Q dot plus Q by C is equal to 0. L into d square Q by dt square plus Q by C is equal to 0. This is the Lagrangian equation for LC circuit. 3. Simple pendulum. A simple pendulum consists of a heavy metallic bob of mass m suspended from a fixed point O by means of weightless inextensible string of length L. Consider the position of the bob at a small angular displacement theta from the mean position. The most suitable generalized coordinates is theta. Since there is only one degree of freedom, there is only one Lagrange's equation. d by dt of dou L divided by dou theta dot minus dou L divided by dou theta is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 1. Kinetic energy T is equal to 1 by 2 into m into L square into theta dot square, where V is equal to r omega, which is equal to L into theta dot. The potential energy of the bob at A is assumed to be 0. The potential energy at B is equal to V is equal to m into g into z, which is equal to m into g into 1 minus cos theta, where AC is equal to z, which is equal to OA minus OC, which is equal to L minus L cos theta. Lagrangian L is equal to T minus V, which is equal to 1 by 2 into m into L square into theta dot square minus mg into 1 minus cos theta. Therefore, dou L divided by dou theta dot is equal to ml square into theta dot, and dou L divided by dou theta is equal to minus mgl into sin theta. The Lagrange's equation becomes d by dt of ml square theta dot plus m into g into L into sin theta is equal to 0. M into L square into theta double dot plus m into g into L into sin theta is equal to 0, or theta double dot is equal to minus g by L into sin theta. Since theta is small, sin theta is equal to theta. Hence, theta double dot is equal to minus g by L into theta. This equation shows that the motion of the simple pendulum is simple harmonic with a period t is equal to 2 pi into square root of L by g. For Atwood's machine, an Atwood's machine consists of two unequal masses m1 and m2 of a string of length L, which passes over a frictionless pulley capable of motion about a horizontal axis. Since there is only one degree of freedom, the Lagrange equation becomes d by dt of dou L divided by dou x dot minus dou L by dou x is equal to 0. Let it be equation number 1. Let x be the variable vertical distance from the center of the pulley to the mass m1. Then mass m2 will be at a distance L minus x from the pulley. T is equal to 1 by 2 into m1 plus m2 into x dot square. Potential energy V is equal to minus m1 gx minus m2 g into L minus x. Therefore, L is equal to 1 by 2 into m1 plus m2 into x dot square plus m1 into gx plus m2 into g into L minus x. Dou L divided by dou x dot is equal to m1 plus m2 into x dot. D by dt of dou L divided by dou x dot is equal to m1 plus m2 into x double dot. Dou L divided by dou x is equal to m1 minus m2 into g. Substituting in equation 1, m1 plus m2 into x double dot minus m1 minus m2 into g is equal to 0, or x double dot is equal to m1 minus m2 divided by m1 plus m2. This is the equation for an Atwood's machine. Let me summarize the main ideas in this session. Constraints is defined as the geometrical restrictions or limitations on the motion of a particle or a system. The properties of the constraint forces are that they are elastic in nature and appear at the contact surfaces. Constraint force does not allow the body to deviate from the prescribed path. Ideal constraints are those in which the forces act in a direction perpendicular to the surface of constraints when the body moves parallel to the surface. Constraints are classified into holonomic and non-holonomic constraints, time dependent and time independent constraints, conservative and dissipative constraints, and bilateral and unilateral constraints. The set of independent coordinates required to represent the motion of a particle or a system of particles is called generalized coordinates. The principle of virtual work states that the work done is 0 in the case of an arbitrary virtual displacement of a system from its equilibrium position. Lagrange's equations are a set of second order partial differential equations which are of much use in the solution of mechanical problems. Now you can try to answer the questions given here. First one, what are generalized coordinates? Explain why they are called so. Second one, what are the characteristics of constraint forces? Third one, what are conservative and dissipative constraints? Fourth one, what are holonomic constraints? Give examples. Fifth one, what is the principle of virtual work? Sixth one, what is meant by Lagrange's equations? Now you may refer the books given here. First one, Engineering Mechanics 5th edition by J. L. Merriam and L. G. Kreis. Second one, Mechanics, Statistical Mechanics and Relativity by Professor Vivekanandan P. Kadavu. Third one, Classical Dynamics of Particles and Systems by S. T. Thornton and J. B. Marion. Hope that you have enjoyed this session. We can meet again with another topic. Till then, take care.